All right, again, welcome Georgia Cyber Academy champions. I am Michelle Gilliard. I'm your high school family engagement coordinator. And again, I am thrilled over the moon to see you guys with us tonight. Again, I'm Michelle Gilliard. Also on this session, we have Ms. Veronica Rapani, Ms. Christy Howard, Ms. Lucretia Nolan, and Ms. Julie Barr that will be presenting to you this evening. So we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you who are wondering about the dings, what I'm going to do is maximize our screen really quickly so you can see the slide. If you go over to the little settings cog to the right of your name, so you'll see your name, so like where Lucretia N, Veronica O, Adina M. Scroll over a little bit farther to your right, you'll see the little cog. You're going to click on that little cog, and that's going to bring up this little box. From that box, you can click notifications. And when a secondary box will pop up, you can click the option to turn off your notifications. If for some reason at any point you lose audio or you lose video, you can also click on refresh my connection there, or simply press Control, that's the CTRL button, and the letter R at the same time, and you'll be able to. Allison, down at the to the right, you'll see attendees where you see my little laser pointer flickering a little bit. That's your attendees pane. Look for your name in there. You're probably going to have to scroll down. We've got a few people in here. Click on that gear and you'll be ready. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn this session over to Ms. Lucretia Nolan. So take it away, Ms. Lucretia.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight to talk about our Comprehensive Needs Assessment, the CNA, and our Consolidated LEA Improvement Plan, lovingly called the CLIP. And this is for next year, so we call it FY22. And I'm Lucretia Nolan. I'm the Federal Programs Director. I also have someone who helps with federal programs. Her name is Julie Farrer, and she is the Federal Programs Manager. You won't be meeting her tonight, but she has joined us to listen in. We'll go ahead and switch our slides for us. There we go. Thank you for that. So why are we having this meeting? Well, this is a very important meeting, and I'm going to go over that. So we're going to talk about why we're having this meeting. I'm going to define what CNA and CLIP mean. I'm going to discuss who our stakeholders are. I'm going to review our current plan as we move into FY22, so it'll be the FY21 plan. We'll talk about the use of federal funds and involvement in the whole process. All right, so the CNA and the CLIP are part of Georgia's system of continuous improvement. And so this logo is found all over the Georgia DOE website. You'll see it everywhere. And it talks about how we need to improve. So we need to examine our progress, identify our needs, select our interventions, plan our interventions, and implement our plan. And then we have to go back all over again and start examining our progress. So that's the outside circle, that green piece that you see. Inside is what we're looking at doing, and it's for the district and for the school. So we're looking at effective leadership, professional capacity, supporting learning environments, coherent instructional systems, and family and community engagement. So those are the things that we're looking at when we're moving through this process. And the reason we're doing that is for the whole child. All right, so let's talk about what a comprehensive needs assessment, or a CNA, is. And it's basically a process that's used to identify needs and performance challenges in a school or district, determine the root cause, and set their priorities. But let me also say it also helps us identify things that maybe not just performance challenges, but things that we're doing correctly. So it allows us to look at what we're doing right and where we might need some improvement. All schools and districts should use this process for improvement planning and budgeting. So the Comprehensive Needs Assessment is the first step in developing a school-wide improvement plan. Every school must do this. It is the collection and analysis of data and information to determine the areas of success or strength. Remember, we got to look and see what we're doing right, and areas needing improvement or experiencing challenges. So maybe so this over here is not working just exactly the way we want it, or if we added this other layer to it, it would be so much better. So those are the things we're looking for. And these are all part, this process is required for the use of our federal funds. So we receive federal funds here at GCA, and we must do this in order to continue receiving these funds. And then we form a team to work with our stakeholders, and you tonight are here because you are very important stakeholders to us to complete this process. So this leads us into the Comprehensive LEA Improvement Plan, the CLIP. So you hear us talk a lot about the CNA and the CLIP. So the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, of 2015 requires that Georgia Department of Education, the Georgia DOE, collects consolidated plans or applications from every school district, every local education agency. That's that LEA piece right there. Every one of us have to do this. So the CLIP contains descriptions, informations, assurances, and other materials that are considered by the Georgia DOE as absolutely necessary to define how we will support our students under this law. So the CLIP process, we go through this each step, and remember we talked about that green circle? So this is really the green circle. The CLIP process is that green circle on the outside. So we identify our needs, we select our interventions, and we select things that show evidence of success, because we want to bring in interventions that we already know or there has been proof in other areas that already shows it's working for kids, and we want to bring those types of programs into our school. We want to plan that implementation. So once we select our interventions, we want to look and see how we're going to bring it to our school. How, when, where, what's the scope? How are we going to measure this? And then once we have a good plan, we go and we implement that plan. So we take it into the schools, we make real-time adjustments if they're needed, and then as the kids get to use that intervention or that process, we determine whether this intervention is meeting the originally identified need. Is it making the improvements that we anticipated? So there's a common misconception around, it's like, okay, well, the CNA and CLIPs, they're required by federal programs, so it should be handled by federal programs only, just those folks. Well, that's not true. The CLIP and the CNA requires every single one of us who are a part of GCA and those who have an interest in GCA's success. It requires all of us to be able to do this process. So let's talk a little about who everyone is, everyone who comes to the table for this process and helps create this CLIP for us. So we have people that are required to be at the table. The DOE says these folks have to be there. So we have our superintendent, our federal programs director, that's me, curriculum directors, we have to have school leaders, teacher representatives, we have to have homeless liaisons. Now, we at GCA, we use the word displaced liaison, or we actually call ours transitional student liaisons, but because we don't like that term homeless, but that is what the DOE requires. We have to have special ed directors, family engagement. You have our lovely team of family engagement folks here tonight. We even have to have students in 8th grade through 12th grade as a part of this process. Now, our recommended folks from inside GCA is our testing director, our finance director, CTAE folks, student support personnel, principal reps, high school counselors, teachers from various disciplines, HR, and a bilingual parent liaison. We'd like to have our parents come and, especially if they're bilingual, and let us know how we can help our ESOL students. I do apologize for my dog barking in the background. Please forgive that. I hope that's not too loud for you guys. It's one of the lovely things about working from home is you get to hear your animals in the background every now and then. All right, so those are the folks we were just talking about were our internal stakeholders. Those are people that we want at the table. But we also want external stakeholders at the table, and we have a few required ones. And those are social workers, charter school leaders, community partners, our school board, parents. You guys, this is why we're meeting tonight. You guys are a critical component. You are a required stakeholder in this process. That's why we wanted to talk to you. And we need to have local defects and instructional support. They also recommend that we have RESA representatives, technical college or university personnel, local Head Starts, migrant representatives, parent mentors, school council members, the general public, technology experts, and media specialists and librarians. So all of those people come together and we look at what we're doing and where we need to improve. And once we get that together, we've looked at our needs, we've started creating our improvement plan. We usually narrow it down to 3 main goals. And everything that we do has to work within these goals and has to be a part of us attaining those goals. So our FY21 goals include these 3. Increase our student achievement in all content areas across all grades. Increase our graduation rates. And then, of course, for our teachers providing these opportunities for our kids, we want to increase professional development for our teachers and leaders in instruction, instructional leadership, and organizational leadership. So now that we have our goals, and those were our goals for FY21, and we'll look at our goals for FY22, but what we put in place to reach those goals, these are some of the things that we are paying for with federal dollars here at GCA to help us reach those goals. We have our lovely family support liaisons here. We love them. They are fabulous, and they are a very, very important part of GCA. We have our family engagement coordinators. We have our transitional student liaisons. They help our displaced, our foster, and our migrant students. We have our data coordinators. We pay for them. We have our school library, Sora. If you haven't seen that, you need to go look it up. Your kids can read anything that is out there in the library. It's like walking into a virtual library and pulling a virtual book off of the shelf. We have that for our students, but we also have it for our teachers. We have class sets that we can use in the classroom, and it has been such a wonderful thing. And that came directly out of a needs assessment. Our kids need the opportunity to read. They want to pleasure read. We need to have books in the classroom. And here is one that was a perfect example of bringing something to our kids that will help them read and improve their reading achievement. We provide face-to-face professional development for our staff and our leaders. We provide new teacher training and mentors. We provide tutoring. We also this year provided manipulatives for math and ELA in the lower grades. We provide work-based learning, social emotional training, mindfulness and movement for our classrooms. We provide document cameras and bamboo boards, equipment that our teachers desperately need to be able to teach in a virtual environment. We have supplies for our displaced students. We have testing transportation for our displaced students as well, trying to get them to our milestones. We have EL reading materials and interventions, and we have gizmos for science and math. We really love providing these things to our school and to our students. So what kind of federal programs will we have going into FY22? Well, these will be the areas of funding that we anticipate receiving. We know that we will receive Title I-A, Improving Academic Achievement. We will also receive Title I SIG, that's a school improvement grant that works towards our graduation rates. We will receive Title II-A, Improving Teacher Quality. We will receive Title III, we believe, again this year, as our numbers allow, but we really believe that next year we'll receive Title III again, Title IV, and then we also receive IDEA money. All right, so in order to use all of this federal funds coming into our school, we have to identify a need. We can't just say, oh, we're just going to go spend it because we want to spend it. There has to be something that drives us to spend those dollars, right? And then we have to look for data to support it. It's all well and good to say, we need to go buy a swing set. Now, of course, in a brick and mortar, this would make more sense. But the example I'm giving is just, we need to go buy a swing set. Well, what data says that our kids need a swing set? Well, they need to be physically active. And so on and so forth. You kind of get where I'm going with that. You got to have some sort of data and something to back it up and some way to even track to make sure that that swing set really worked out for the kids, right? The intervention must be allowable under the federal program and meet the intent and purpose of the program. So each program has very specific requirements that says what it's about. So Title 1A specifically covers like the 4 main content categories. We really look at those 4 contents. Then Title 2 is for teaching, improving our teachers' capabilities and our leaders' capabilities. Title 3 is for our EL kids. So each one has its own special requirements. The intervention must be included in the budget. So once we submit our budget, it has to have everything that we plan to spend in that budget at that time. And our budget must be specific. We can't use general terms like et cetera or such as. So if I wanted to buy school supplies, I would have to say that I wanted to buy paper, pencils, pens, and erasers. But if I wanted to go back and buy a sharpener for that pencil, I wouldn't be able to, because I didn't include it in the list. So I have to be very, very inclusive. GCA must continually monitor the results. So once we put something out there, is it really doing what we want it to do? Are we getting results? Are these supplies helping it? Is the swing set helping the kids? So we got to know. And any sort of unsuccessful interventions should not continue to be funded. If something's not successful, why keep throwing money at it? If it's not successful, take it out. Let's go look for something that is. All right. So I mentioned evidence-based interventions a minute ago, and this is a pretty big topic for federal programs. And basically, we want to put strategies in place that work. And we're required by ESSA to put strategies in place that work. So that's one of the reasons why we experience a lot of change here at GCA, because we may find that something is not working and we need to change and we need to grow and we need to improve. And that's what all of this is about, continuing to improve as a school, to improve our academic outcomes for our students, right? So all of these things, whenever we put an implementation or an intervention in place, it could include direct instruction, it can include instructional support, professional development, any activity, strategy, or intervention intended to improve academic outcomes must be a part of an evidence-based review. So whether there's evidence already or we create our own evidence and we do our own studies to find that evidence. Next. All right, so the next steps for us here at GCA as we move into this process, well, we are we're going to have a link to give to you for a survey. And that survey is the CNA. And I should have told you earlier on that we were going to give you the survey. We're sending it out. We've sent it out to all our staff already. We're going to give it to you guys. And we're going to go through, we're going to take that information from the CNA and from the survey. And we're going to create teams to look at the data that comes back from the survey. And we're going to evaluate areas of success. So what do we keep doing? What do we know that we're doing right and we want to keep doing right? And then we want to look at needs and we want to gather data to look at those needs. We want to evaluate the root cause of those needs and then select those interventions and then figure out which department is going to implement it and monitor that, right? And then we will, we have to wrap back around at the end of the year with those monitored results and make sure that everything works. So in the survey that you guys are going to get, and it may have been put in the chat already, and we'll put it in the chat several times for you. Some of the questions in there are probably questions that maybe you don't know the answer to. You've not experienced that component here at GCA. Most of the questions have some sort of sample in there of what we have done at GCA to kind of help you understand what we're doing or what we're asking for in that particular area. But please feel free to skip anything in that survey that you don't feel like you have the capacity to answer. It is quite all right. But there are open-ended questions or open-ended locations where you can give us feedback on certain areas. So feel free to use that. And we look forward to having you guys answer those for us and give us those CNA results. And then if we'll go ahead and click on to the next one. So how can you contribute? So I mentioned creating teams a minute ago. You can have direct involvement on a team. We'll probably have once a week meetings. It does say here that we're going to start in March, but it's really going to be April, May, except for during testing. And then we'll just start looking at that evidence and evaluate the data. And we'll start looking to suggest improvements and interventions to maybe address anything that we do find. And so just share what you know by completing the CLIP survey. Now, here's the other thing. That CLIP survey can be completely anonymous at the beginning. So you don't have to put your name in there. You don't have to put your email in there if you don't want to. You can be completely anonymous answering this. But at the end, it asks you if you'd like to be on a team. If you'd like to be on a team and remain anonymous, feel free to reach out to me directly, lnolan@georgiacyber.org, or you can reach out to one of our lovely family engagement coordinators here tonight, Veronica Pani, Christy Howard, or Michelle Gilliard, and they will be able to get that information to me. So if you're interested in being a part of a team and you want to keep your anonymity during the CNA, feel free just to reach out to us separately. It's completely fine. All right, so again, the Comprehensive LEA Improvement Plan. Remember, this is not just a federal programs effort. This is a GCA effort, and it will take all of us to improve, all of us. And why? Because our students here at GCA, they deserve the very best from every one of us, and we want to give it to them. And that is what we try to do all the time. So before I open it up for questions, I know they also want to give you the attendance survey. So there's the attendance link, and I think they're going to throw that out there for you. And again, we'll keep putting the link to the CLIP as well so that you can get to that if you haven't grabbed it already. But also grab the attendance link, because it's very important that we know that you attended tonight. We want you to say to us, hey, I was here, I heard what you had to say. I'm a part of this. I'm a part of GCA, and I was here to be a part of GCA tonight. But I do want to open